Audio is rolling.
Video's rolling. Cue that intro. And we're live.
Yeah. What's good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay, TJay.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all. And we're live.
Yeah. I just did the dance.
and you hit the mic.
Damn it. One. What's good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay, TJay.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all.
Every week.
Yeah. You're supposed to say we back. And this
Oh,
is the first
shoot.
time you didn't say we back.
We back. I think because I done got used to being here. Like normally, okay, if we've never told you the inside joke of the we back, it's because after we started our hiatus life, we literally streamed for 2 years straight, just about.
What do you mean?
We streamed No Rhyme or Reason podcast for we was podding for like 2 years straight over on YouTube. Then we took a break. Then we came back. Then life, and we took a break. And then when we were really trying to so every time we would start again, I'm like, we back? Because y'all missed us.
Yeah. They did.
A lot.
And then they started crying. And then I don't know where I was going with that. Let's just get into
let's get into these topics, man.
So first of all, I want to say welcome back to everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I won't tell your mom that you didn't.
Yep. And make sure you hit the bell notification so that way you can be notified of either some of our videos or every time that a clip goes live or the show goes live.
Yep. Any comments about topics that we talk about, send them to our email that we don't check, nrorpodcast@gmail.com.
I check it every day.
I don't check it at all.
I check it religiously every day because I clear. You never noticed that we never have spam or extra stuff in our email?
No. Because I get everything forwarded to different addresses, and my email inbox, I have at least I would say 50 emails a day easily.
Oh no, I'm almost
not even. Yeah, it's bad.
I'm about 60, and it's just if I leave it alone for the day, it'll end up at about 100.
I think I should turn my chair.
It's on your chair. Oh, we're doing an in.
Yeah, we're doing an in thing.
An in thing.
Sorry about the noise. We could have muted that. Whatever.
As I need the whole table.
Shaky table.
Shaky mic.
All right. So yeah, be sure to do that. He'll check it. I won't check it. So let's talk about the topics. This first one is BET Awards, and it's too small for me to see.
When you've gotten that kind of old.
Yeah.
But then again, we were always glasses boys, so it's not
the glasses boys.
Yeah.
And I'm messing
boys.
this whole thing up. See, this is why we should prep ahead of time. Prep. because now I'm screwing up the size of the window.
I showed him new technology, and it's got him tweaking.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
I think we can pull up the list somewhere else. I think it's on Pitchfork, and I'll pull it up on my phone here in just a second.
Yeah. But first things first, before we get into what actually happened on the BET Music Awards, we can do our general discussion on. So often we hear things like Emmy so white, Oscar so white, this, that, and the third, right?
Hold on a second. I had a thought.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry to interrupt you.
What?
Because my thought was when you sent these topics to me, I had no idea what the hell what I was going to talk about, because I had no reference to BET Awards. I hadn't seen Dave Chappelle's thing. I don't know anything about the NBA right now or ever. And I hadn't seen the thing on Netflix, that the Squid Games. Yeah, so I'm just in the dark completely about everything that we were supposed to talk about. Can you turn us up?
Yeah. We can go up. My bad.
You're good.
And then also, that will also probably help.
Oh, yeah, that's much more helpful. But, yeah, I think we should.
To actually turn your...
Yeah.
And there we are.
There we go.
I think there we go.
That's a quality audio.
Sorry, guys. This is us. This is it. Sound of recipes, Michael Jackson.
All right. So my thought was, I'm now coming in the dark.
Wait. Sorry, y'all. Sorry for the spitting on the mic.
I'm now coming to this show.
Good luck with that, bro.
In the dark.
You made it like he tried to stop him, so it was like, I'm now coming in the dark.
You see, well, I thought about that statement as it was leaving my mouth, and
I'm sorry, y'all.
And
oh man,
and I was just, Garrett's gonna have a field day with this. Anyway,
field day.
I was thinking about what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't gonna
lead to a good conversation.
It just wasn't gonna come my way. Right. So like this anyway, I'm in the dark about all of our topics. I wish I wasn't in the dark about all of our topics. We need some soundproofing. Now I'm just now hearing that.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you earlier. Because we had the deafening sound of like boxes that were everywhere, so they had something to soak into.
So,
but I do need soundproof.
So as a podcaster, I feel totally unprepared.
What?
With your topics that you brought. So,
well, luckily for you,
that's my bone to pick with you.
I always keep you in mind with my topics, because it wasn't so much that I wanted to like talk about anything that happened in the BET Music Awards, really, because also I did not watch
that's
it.
why I didn't have that context, because what we're seeing on the screen is totally different than what you want to talk about.
Because what's on the screen is for you folks, so you can know like kind of what happened. But the bigger conversation, I didn't watch it because I don't have cable, and like I'm not a BET Plus subscriber and all this other stuff. But the conversation I want to have, because it's something that I saw, was there was a lot of we just criticized the Emmys for like how many of us were nominated and didn't win. Mm-hmm. And so when the BET Awards comes around and I see so many people either not watching it, not talking about it, that I don't understand then what's desired. What is the outcome that we're looking for if we Emmy so white, Oscar so white, and then the thing that's for us we don't watch? You don't watch it. You don't comment on it. If there's something that you don't like about it, there's no push for change. There's no suggestions of, well, can we have or add some of this or do this or that or the third. There was an amazing Nelly performance. Like took me down nostalgia lane because that was going through the socials. And they gave J. Cole Lyricist of the Year. Like big things that, given, his recent freestyles, the Haven freestyle, I believe, I think his name is song, where he was saying he didn't feel like he was top 3 and all this other stuff. And, when we talked about the thing with him and Drake and Drake, like, nah, man, you one of the greatest. Like, you not under nobody. Mm-hmm. I just wonder as a whole, and if you can speak to this, what is it that you think we want from award shows? Like, are we wanting to just exist in these places where we know we won't exist? because we just won't support the things that we create, or are we wanting something similar? Are we wanting like our own Oscars? Like what?
I think squarely from a business perspective, we're not in a place where award shows are not that popular.
Right.
You know? So if award shows aren't that popular, then why would we even pay attention to them?
True.
And so if even the most popular award shows for the white folks are not hitting the ratings that they used to hit, we're not gonna. We shouldn't expect ours to grow either. They're just not important to the culture. People can put their own fingers on what they like.
I keep beating the mic up, and I'm trying to I'm sitting my hands like in front of the mic.
Just move it away from you.
Ah, good point.
Let's get some distance.
This one doesn't.
And then before you move it, mute it. Sounds like we're rumbling in a garbage can. But anyway, so
I almost caught it some raccoons.
It's not important.
I gotta sneeze like a mug.
It's not important to us. Mute and sneeze. It's not important to us, and so therefore we're just in a situation where our own tastes are already verifiable by ourselves. And so we're starting to get into an economy where every piece of media has to be customized to what you like and what you dislike.
So I guess under that lens, it's suffice to say that people just be complaining to be complaining.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And that's a fair thing to do, right? If you want to complain, that's your prerogative.
I almost sang it.
It's your prerogative.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Oh, that's not what I mean. That is not what I mean.
Randomly, old man TJay just pulls up a baby eating a chicken wing for the first time.
I don't know how to do this.
And it was a little white baby.
This technology stuff.
But hilarious. But yeah, so I thought it would be we got all the angles, y'all. Trust me.
Live on. So, just thinking about BET Awards, nobody really cares as much. And that's frankly because the award shows don't really give us much to care about. I think the performances is usually what's talked about on social media.
True.
Not
the awards,
really even the awards themselves.
We talk about them after. We'll just look like a list of who won. Or if it's like the year of the album that the right people like and the album that the left people like, not actual right or left leaning, but like people on the left, people on like the Kendrick Lamar, Macklemore year.
Right.
Or I'm trying to think of a year like Kendrick, Drake, and Cole would have been like out around the same time. But it doesn't matter.
2013 or 10.
But one of those years would be probably like one of the bigger conversations to where we would want to watch and outrage at the immediate viewing of it.
Right.
So I had thought about that, but like a lot of the topics I picked today were about how reactionary we are and kind of getting your take on it, because when you break it down, especially like with the award shows and not having the same cachet that they once had, then it boils down to it just being, like I said, outrage for nothing, just because we want to kind of like outrage. And I want to like dive into these things because that's kind of where we are. And I don't know if this has always been a thing or if the last 8 years, if the last 10 years has, because we blame everything on social media, but that can't be it. And there goes the person with their car again.
This hasn't always been a thing.
No.
No, it's a recent event, and it's not social media. It's the climate of how we consume media.
Okay.
Right, so it's not their fault. And you have to understand that people have always been and you know this, right? People have always been customizing their experience. They've just been doing it in different ways, right? We always know that Nielsen SoundScan is not the best way to represent what people like on television.
Oh man, I remember that episode. That was a good episode.
Right. And we also know that when it comes to an album, people's representations of what they like on that album show up in buying a single instead of the entire thing.
Look at all of the new gold albums that Lupe has.
Yeah.
It's clearly off of, I think, off of the his freestyle, and then fans moving to like either stream his album, buy the album, something. But he showed a lot of plaques recently of,
Right.
you know, this reaching gold,
He got
that reaching gold.
Food and Liquor went gold. Food and Liquor 2 went gold as well.
Yeah. And it's like, what? You know, things that should have been, but now are because of the tailored content. It's the algorithm.
Right.
The algorithms are so bad, and I'm trying to crack the code.
They're not bad, though. That's the thing. They're customized. And so,
Yes.
because it's for you, it can't be for everybody else.
True. The only thing or there's a bad aspect of it. The only con that I see with the thing being so tailored for me, especially in the way that the algorithm does it, it's kind of like a protective mom. Because then I never see the world. I see my little corner. It's the same thing. Like, so I realized when we first started talking about the vaccinations and stuff, that first conversation we had, I was uninformed. I was ignorant, because things I would say, you'd be like, well, that's not true. That's not how this happened. And that's not how, and that, but that's what I was,
Because they came from the algorithm.
but that's what I was seeing. You know, I was seeing these things. And so my fear of getting it early, like not now, not like after more information and things have been going on, not after all of the different things that I was doing. But that's an issue to me. Especially when we can't even have the news people, not the news people, the news care anymore.
The news dudes.
Not that the news people need to be unbiased, because there are a lot of biased people that are on the news that still deliver the facts accordingly. But there aren't as many. And then we kind of chastise them or make it seem like they don't exist anymore. And so that was a bit of a problem for me to just kind of see this, because I remember when they started the BET Awards, how big of a thing that was. We were like, yeah. And then immediately when they would show love to certain things or whatever the case may be, we turned on it. You know, we turned on the Source Awards. I mean, I get it. It was just, you know, people fighting and all this other stuff. But I just want us to kind of evaluate our grapes.
I just think people are in a place where, and people are in a place where things are tailored. I think there should be two different versions of the algorithm. One that lets everything through, and the other one that is filtered. Like
Reddit. So you have your stream, and then you can have like a home stream.
Right.
So there's like a home page where, while the home page still will show you all of the things that you're subscribed to, whereas you can go to your Taylor pages and see like things that you have favorited and so on and so forth. But you still get a more broad sense of kind of what's going on. Because a lot of people, if you do not have to go outside of your circle, you will not go outside of your circle. And I promise you that is a recipe for disaster in terms of certain methods of thinking or how you could think.
So I think, and we've spent a lot of time on this, this one.
It's a big breakdown.
It's just important that we understand that the things that we're seeing are things that are custom for us and not really for anybody else. And when it comes to award shows, people are caring less. People are not giving as much as many Fs as they used to.
All right, let's slide to the. That's so funny. Let's slide to the next topic. Because it's on a slide.
So really quick, shout out to everybody watching us live, whether it be on Twitch or Instagram, right here in front of us.
What's up?
There's nobody watching right now, but if in case, yeah.
If in case, just in case,
you go watching us tonight.
Bars.
All right. So vaccinations in the NBA.
So most of the sports leagues are at about 80 to 90% vaccinated. Like huge numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's bigger than the country, right?
Bigger than the country. So there's a lot of, and this is another algorithm thing. So maybe this is the algorithm episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that they keep promoting is there's a huge thing with Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets, and he's publicly saying he does not want to get the vaccination. Now, in New York, there's a mandate that you cannot be at public events or something like that. I think if you're not vaccinated, there's some sort of mandate. And with the vaccinations, at least the numbers that they have, I would feel like the yelling that we're doing against people getting like, go get the vax, in there are more protected. Because if you're at 90 in terms of whatever, like, I feel like there's more that you can do specifically, for that person, in the sense that, okay, like after the game, you can't do this. Like you can't interact with fans, but you can be there.
Well, okay. So so when we're thinking about vaccination rates and we're thinking about 90%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a cohort of people and you have a 90% vaccination rate, and for some reason there are like religious exemptions or other people that are fighting back against it, or people have health concerns and therefore they can't get a vaccination. What I recommend is testing and masking, right? So like, it just seems like those alternate checks should be in place for those that
and they have them. I think because he tried to get the religious exemption, but they denied it because I don't know what he subscribes to. Majority of times you don't know what any of your favorite players subscribe to.
Yeah, because it's nobody's business, right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that one day. That's more. It's like the weirdest thing ever, and it's like people have a big thing against, and I say later, I'll just quickly state this now. People have a big thing against the logo of the popularized Christianity or popularized anything else. Every other part of it, if you, like he does, if you believe the earth is flat and you want to be a Mormon or you want to be whatever it is you want to be that. Be it proudly, instead of it seeming like, if you already espousing crazy things in the first place, you might as well just stand on whatever it is you stand on. So they're having this thing with him in the NFL. They're having this thing like with Cole Beasley, and like people who are publicly anti-vax or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And I think the bigger issue is, especially when you have a higher rate than the country of vaccination in your league, I think the issue is their platform and feeling like what they're saying is going out to other people. But even that's not true, because the vaccination rates per day have gone up drastically everywhere for the most part. Like in numbers that you would not have even expected them to. So that's the thing where I'm like, is the algorithm making us feel like we just have to outrage about everything?
What do you mean by that? Because that question's not clear to me.
So what I'm saying is, again, so if you're at a 95% clear rate, right? Mm-hmm. There are easier ways to handle a Kyrie Irving or whoever than what it is that they're doing. right?
But what is the algorithm contributing to that?
The algorithm would say when they're the only people that are getting spoken up about, they're unvaxxed, they're unvaxxed, they're unvaxxed, which makes it sometimes in terms of the reporting seem like there are way more unvaxxed people than there are.
Got it.
And in the NBA, you're probably talking about 15 to 20 people.
Nobody's talking about those folks that are. They're not talking about the 90%.
No,
right?
they're
So
only talking about that
that
one person, and they're talking about it in a way of like how they're holding up, how they're making things more difficult. It's a weird pressure that I don't think should be a thing. Like it wasn't a thing of pressure when I was unvaccinated with you. Mm-hmm. It was a conversation, and it was like, hey, I think you should. It's going to be kind of dangerous up here. Like, with your condition, I wouldn't want these things to happen. And you were very informing about it. So the thing about the NBA and all of these different sports is, especially like with NFL, so they're already stringent in terms of like, they will cancel games, because of, if there's an outbreak or whatever the case may be. People are losing money because they're not doing what it is that they need to do. And it's just strange to me, the publicizing of all of this, because like I said, you're focusing on a person. And then when you focus on that person, so initially focusing on Kyrie Irving, right? Mm-hmm. Then it seems like, I feel like if you're trying not to promote anti-vaxxers, you're not doing a good job.
Got it. So the way I understand what you just said is the same way I understood the Trump epidemic.
Yes.
In order to keep Trump out of office, you should stop talking about him.
Yes.
In order to raise vaccination rates, you should stop talking about anti-vaxxers. You should talk about the facts.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. See, I knew you.
That was a long way.
Sorry.
To say all of that.
Sorry.
But you're good. I just needed a way to break that down.
Good luck with that, bruh.
It's very hard to break it down.
Now I understand.
But that was my whole thing about bringing that out. And
shout out to I Am Turner, producer of Jam, watching on Instagram Live right now. Shout out to him. Shout out to everybody else that's watching on IG Live as well.
Shout out Jam. That song is my
jam.
Come on. Beat me to the punchline. But yeah, that, and also I want to say shout out to the Philadelphia 76ers. This is also my way of getting in any kind of sports talk that I can. We back, baby. Forget you, Ben Simmons. I hope you get traded because you just, come on, bro. I get it.
How many 76ers fans do you think we have?
Ooh, man, outside of me,
if I was gonna count it on a hand, I would probably say like
0. I'd go 0.
Like, I'm giving you. Some
you ain't got to give me, like, I hope so. But shout out to the Sixers. Shout out to the fact that the NBA is coming back here soon. That's another little small thing I want to get in. Like, I didn't want to go deep. I wanted to talk more about these things that are like bothering me, because it bothers me, the continual conversation about the anti-vaxxer NFL person or whatever the case may be. And it's just weird because
we give people give the wrong people the wrong energy, right? But that's news. That's news in general, right?
True. And
how human beings are reactive, right? The things that go viral are the things that are going to move us emotionally, and they're going to have normally an arousal type of emotion.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's tied to it. And I teach this to my kiddos in middle school.
He's a great teacher. I'm around a whole bunch of teachers. That's crazy.
Education.
Education. But anyway.
It says turning down video settings or using a faster encoding. Oh, gosh.
Oh, no.
I'll just drop the frame rate.
Drop the frame rate, like, bro. Y'all be listening to Joe.
What?
Call me Icarus for sure.
And
NRNROR. I forgot our letters. Oh.
next topic.
That's what I was waiting on. Chappelle show.
Okay, so even though you didn't warn me about these topics early enough, I did watch this morning. So I'm prepared.
You know what's funny?
What?
I'm only halfway through.
What?
Because
What?
here are my questions.
Huh?
Here are my questions. So Dave Chappelle just dropped a new special, The Closer, which I think he's saying is his last special for a while?
Yeah,
Or his last special.
last special for a while.
I feel like clearly he says in the beginning, he just said for a while.
Yeah, just for a while. And specifically on Netflix. So
Yeah.
there could be other things coming in other venues.
Because, I mean, he's already doing like a podcast. Like, people are acting like he's going on the Luminary with Mos Def and Talib Kweli. Called the Midnight Podcast? Anyway, I don't know. I be forgetting stuff. Doesn't matter. That's not the point.
Just bringing things up. And he ate some McDonald's.
We did. But so it was an amazing special thus far. But thus far. Because I got to finish it.
I wish you finished it.
Here's my point.
Because it's really difficult to talk about if you don't finish it.
Here's my thing.
Okay.
Here's the bigger thing, what I want to talk about. So the joke that they have shown worldwide currently is the baby joke in dealing with that situation, right? So
Context
being, he says, I was just making sure you know what I'm talking about.
I'm in producer mode.
So he starts with basically saying, you know, I really want to plead with you guys to uncancel the baby, speaking to the LGBTQ community. He says, you know, because the LGBTQ community just doesn't really know his history all that well. A while back, the baby killed somebody in Walmart, you know, get away with it. And didn't affect his career at all. But then he says something that is problematic. Please understand that I do feel that what he said is problematic because it promotes it promotes false AIDS information, which has been completely false for a very, very long time. But anyway, we're not staying there. But then he just goes on to say that he did get canceled for murdering someone, but we canceled him for offending. And that's weird. To me, especially, that's weird, especially in this current day and age. And I've noticed this with us. We are overly fascinated with murderers.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I was like, well, maybe we wouldn't care. Because I know again, Tiger King. We continuously watch Tiger King. Mm-hmm. Carol Baskins. Listen, we are all very positive.
I have no context for this.
That oh man, you got to do the Tiger King thing. I'm surprised you didn't.
No,
you really need.
I just don't have time. I'm not going there.
So okay, so I'll give you some context. So Carol Baskins in Tiger King is a lady that kept tigers, you know, on a reserve point along with.
I've heard about the story, right? So I know I know nuggets of the story.
So the
I
point
just
being,
know that
we
it's
all feel
full
like
of bullshit, and I don't want to step into the bullshit.
Squish.
Yeah.
Perfect response and perfect timing. But we fantasize what it is that she did. You know, we watch shows like Making of a Murderer and so on and so forth, where we're like, well, did they do it? I don't know. You know, or even, you know, we're justice warriors for like the Central Park 5 and everything else that we go for in this way. So I'm just kind of wondering, like as I was watching it, because I keep seeing all these articles about canceling him, about how these coalitions are trying to get his special off of Netflix. And it's weird to me because I remember what comedy used to be. I remember what all these different things used to be. Not to say that they were right, but I also didn't feel personally attacked by every comic making a black joke or every comic making a male, every female comic making men jokes or whatever the case may be. I don't think that we've gotten overly sensitive, but I do think, to bring it back to the overarching topic,
I was waiting on this.
The algorithm is. Do you think the algorithm is making us more offended in some ways by what it is that we're seeing, because we see the worst person making the worst joke that isn't funny at all, or whatever the case, whatever it is that we're seeing?
No, I think ultimately what it does is gives. So there's a few that are raising their voice about being hurt or harmed or concerned about certain things, and therefore when they raise their voice, they come with some momentum, but they're nowhere near the majority, right? And so we have to, in our brains, put things into context every time they come about. There are people that are hurt by things that he said. There are people that have been hurt by things that he has said and done. Correct. And that's totally cool. But what's happening now is they're missing the point the same way they missed the point the first time, which is why he brought the point back up in this is stand up. And the point is, in case this is a spoiler for
no, it's not.
And the point is, when we're thinking about LGBTQ issues and we're not at the same time promoting issues of race or racism, we are not walking the talk, so to speak. And we're dropping the ball for other human beings when we're screaming at the same time that we want to be seen, heard, and respected. And so it's really difficult. The question he asks is that, are there no LGBTQ individuals that are racist? So that's a question that's kind of posed within the series, and you could argue that there are a bunch of LGBTQ individuals that still have some racist tendencies or some biased tendencies or some prejudice tendencies to overlook their black and brown cohorts within the community and outside of the community. And so there's a thing where if there's racist issues that need to be taken care of, somehow those things don't get taken care of, but yet we're able to pass legislation for LGBTQ, or we're able to get things put in place to protect other individuals. And so what we're missing is the ability to walk and chew gum at the same time. And that doesn't make any sense. And that's what he's talking about.
Here's the bigger issue with that as well. Black LGBTQ members are more crucified in a lot of different ways. It's like,
right.
If you're talking about like black trans
and correct.
And it's like, that's a race issue in a way that, like, even if you don't say that they're racist people, so on and so forth, if you don't want to give that fact, the black trans fact in terms of people that are attacked and gone after is true. And that's like, that should at least say something about it should be a more complete and total issue. In the sense that it's like, come to find out, earlier today that the HBCU funding has been lowered from 52 billion to like 4 billion. And it's been checked and they've seen some different things. Because initially I waited for a while because I thought it was just the a smear campaign for Biden or whatever, and then like I actually saw it and was like, yo, that's not what was promised, and that is very, very detrimental to the building up and the growing of the HBCUs in terms of where we've been kind of gaining some traction. Mm-hmm. We've had some huge recruits sporting wise go to HBCUs. We have Deion Sanders at Jackson State that does a lot of promotion for those kids and for what they should be as like men in a positive way of what he wants for them in this in the SWAC and in the HBCU in HBCUs in general. So when I was listening to the special and when he said it so poignantly about the baby issue, because the thing, like, regardless of what the baby said, again, like I said, I don't agree with what it was that he said, but I wish that the rush of cancel, the rush of change happened for other things. And that's something that you so eloquently put together in a way of like, if you're saying that none of these people are racist, we've seen so much change. Like in the past 5 to 10 years alone, we've seen gay marriage get licensed, all of these different walks, all of these different platforms, all of these different representation in different TV shows in a way that's not cartoonish, in a way that is earnest and true to the fight. We've seen, different shows, whether it's shows on TLC. I think the name of the girl is like Jazz. But it was a girl who was like young and was going through the transition, and she had a show on TLC. Like, you've seen different things in places where representation matters.
Well, I think where this becomes very obvious that we can get past it is there are, and I don't want to invalidate anything. So there are still conversations about whether or not being within the LGBTQ community is right or wrong. Right? Mm-hmm. There's usually there is conflict of interest in some point, but here's the thing: when we bring up issues in, say, the workplace or in our communities, in social circles or things of that nature, it feels like it's easier for people to get it. But if we bring up race, that's when people start getting defensive about it.
Right.
And there are more defenses up about race than there are about being within the LGBTQ.
Because for a fact, in the LGBTQ community, there is somebody who is like irredeemable, but we don't talk about them. We don't bring them up. They don't bring them in the conversation.
What does that mean?
So there might be somebody specifically like who murdered somebody, who stole from somebody, who killed somebody. That person is not a reflection of the LGBTQ movement. Whereas if a black person today goes out and some white dude was being mean to him or says something crazy, and where he could have walked away, he decides to fight. But say he goes a little bit too far, right? Mm-hmm. Beats him a little too much. Then that lowers the impact of the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Right.
And that doesn't happen on the other side. Like, because again, like you said with the question with Dave, so are you saying that there are no racist LGBTQ people? We don't even, it's like it doesn't matter because the movement itself is positive. Whereas, like you said, when people start trying to talk about race, they make it something else. They try to move the goalposts. They change the conversations. And it's like,
it's a matter of identity, right? So let's just say we're talking about race.
Right.
The first defense when talking about race is, I'm not racist because this. Mm-hmm. There's not always a need to be defensive about LGBTQ.
No.
Right? Because it's not always an attack on your identity, so to speak. It's not an attack, number one, but you know, if somebody says, hey, I don't think you're being mindful of LGBTQ individuals, it doesn't feel like an attack on your identity.
True, I can see that.
Unless you're talking about your religion as tied to LGBTQ, or your
which is
your stance on your family, or anything else, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's rarely tied to your identity where people will get defensive about that topic.
Okay.
And people are more accepting and allowing of, hey, somebody wants to go into a gender neutral bathroom. There's not a lot of arguments about that. Hey, these cops are killing us. There's way more arguments about that.
Yeah.
So I think in perspective, when things aren't tied to your identity or don't label you as you're this or you're that, or when things start to label you as you're this, you're that, that's when people get defensive. That's when the walls go up, and there's more walls for races or racism than there are about acceptance.
But I feel like that's more separating music from the artist in that way, because there's a lot of things about the community that is about your identity, because a lot of the things that they promote is about like how I wish to express myself, how I want to go out. You know, I want to be able to wear these clothes. I want to be able to say, like, address me by them, they, us, you know, whatever, because I identify in my identity as this. So even that, you know, the way we're talking about it is making it like it's separate. It's about identity for them too, but they separate the artist from the music, so to speak, or they separate their message from their identity in some way that we're not afforded, because the black fight or the black things that we are going for are not to separate from anybody in some grand way. It's to be at the same level that the other people are. It's to be where we can have Black Wall Street come back with no fear of attack, to where we can reclaim the finances of the black dollar and what that does for America, and use that towards the building up of our community, so on and so forth. We currently live in a place where there's, you know, where gentrification is on high level, and there's no, you know, and I'm sure there are articles and things about it, but no one stops it. Like, gentrification is a thing that we talk about, that we show you exists, that we show you is a thing that's kind of going on, and we kind of just like, man, that's crazy.
I'll tell you this. When buildings around this area raise a Black Lives Matters flag as well as an LGBTQ flag, we'll be closer to where we need to be.
As soon as you said it, my eyes immediately opened to, I hardly have ever seen those two things exist in the same place.
Those things rarely exist.
I don't think I've seen them exist in the same place.
That's my point about us being able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We can fight for LGBTQ and be on the side of people that are going through things that reflect the ability of their identity to be seen and heard. But we can also fight for those individuals that need to know that things need to change because things have been racist for long enough.
You just be dropping bars. Like, I don't know. That was... This is why I do this podcast, guys, because I have these feelings and I have these ideas of things that that we say, and we bring it to each other, you know, in the same way that if TJay asks me something that maybe he hasn't necessarily thought about, or I ask that of you, and we get to these points to where we start kind of learning things. And that's what I always want for our audience and everything else, is to kind of learn, because the algorithm is only going to show you what you allow it to show you. You know, you have to kind of step outside of yourself to see the world, to kind of see what's going on, to see the things that are important, you know, and that's kind of what I wanted to get to. We'll do Squid Games next time.
We got a little bit of we can touch in overtime.
Oh, well, indeed. Well, so for
because that's where I put it.
Okay, so for you guys that are here with us for our normal episode, if you would like to hear what it is we're going to be talking about at overtime, TJ is going to explain that to you now.
Yeah, so join us on our Patreon. The link is down in the description. You can go for underdog tryouts. You can go for only for the underdogs, underdog upgrade, and so forth. And basically, Patreon is a place where you can support the podcast. You can support me as a brand Wordplay TJay, and make sure that we get what we need in order to keep this thing going and growing. And so Patreon is a way for you to support monetarily every month and then get extra bonus stuff.
One.
As well as our mess ups from behind the scenes. And so if you want to join the Patreon and hear what we're going to talk about next, which is Squid Games, then go ahead and join the Patreon down with the link below.
You know what was dope about this episode? We didn't have to stop.
Yeah.
We didn't have to stop and cut anything out. Like, I'm going to use this audio. I don't have to cut anything out other than the clap.
Yeah.
But boom. You know, they used to call it the clap.
Ew.
Yeah, that was pretty gross.
Ew.
Well, see you guys next week. A 1 and a 2 and a peace.